Hello everyone, today we'll continue learning Python and today we'll talk about threads and threading in Python. So let's start. Okay, imagine that humanity is falling down. Our Earth is shattering. And to save humanity you need to start 1000 or 10,000 rockets at once. And every rocket has its countdown, so let's create a function, define start rocket, and what we will provide here is rocket number, so which rocket was started, and then what we do, I will import from time, import sleep, and sleep is a function which can freeze our program for x seconds. So in our case it's 1, so sleep freezes our program for 1 second. Then what I can do here is for I in range 3. Now the function starts our rocket, but I want to provide rocket number here. Okay, now everything works fine, and let's test our start rocket function, and for example rocket 10 is started. I'll run my code and 0, 1, 2, 3 and rocket 10 started. Okay, I don't care about countdown and how does it work, but you get the idea. Okay, and what if we need to start 1000 rockets? What I can do here, for I in range 1000, or if you want to start rocket with number 1, so 1000 and 1001 as an end argument, and then start rocket from I. Okay, as you can see everything works fine, and rocket 1 started, then rocket 2 started, and everything works fine, but it works really slow, and until every rocket is started Earth will be destroyed, and that's a problem. So we need to start 1000 rockets at once, almost at once. And how can we do this? Well, we can import threading library, so import threading. You don't need to download anything for time or for threading, it's already in your Python standard library. Okay, then what is threading? Threading is a library which helps us to manipulate with threads in Python. Let me say threads are things for concurrent execution of your code, like that. So what we can do here is create a thread, or sorry, threading.thread. Thread is a class of our thread. It has group. I have never used group, and what I have used and what you should use, what must be provided, it's a target. So target in our case it's start rocket function, but start rocket not with parentheses but just the name. So we give the link to our start rocket to our thread class, and args are arguments in our target. So in our case it's a rocket num, and let's provide for example I. So what I do next, let's go rocket starter, and then what I can do here is rocket starter start. So rocket starter start starts the thread. For now everything works fine, and let's just run our code. So let's run. As you can see 0, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, and it worked really fast. So rocket 9, as you can see every rocket is started. With threading we can call our own thread. So as you know now, start rocket is a target, and target is connected to a thread. And how can we call the thread inside our start rocket function? So we can do something like threading current thread. Let's call it a current thread, and then I will remove for and rocket started, and then let's print a, and we have for example here name, a.name. Let's run again. As you can see we have many threads, thread 1, thread 2, and so on, so all the way to thread 1000. So there are many arguments in thread, and I don't want to tell everything about them because most of them are like ident, so it's just a random number of our thread. Yeah, as you can see numbers are not written, they are random. Yeah, okay, but I will tell you about general functions which are essential and crucial using threading. So yeah, but I will leave documentation in the description and you can go here and watch. So as you know here we can get our current thread by using threading.currentThread. And the interesting thing about our threading is that I'll go right here and I'll run debug. And as you can see here in my frames, we have main thread. What's that? Main thread, it's a thread which was ran when we started our Python file. When we start our program, we already using threads. Our main code, so for example, I will print here 1, just print 1 without any of that. That will start a new thread of our program. Okay, that's easy. And how can we get the main thread of our program? So we can write threading.main thread. Okay, then what we need to do, and I will run 1000 threads and they will tell my main thread ident. So random number of my thread. And as you can see here, numbers are similar. Yeah, every number is similar because we get our main thread here. And if I run again, as you can see here, now numbers slightly changed. So again, changed. So again, in our threads we have name, so name of our thread, and we can change that name when we create our thread. For example, name, let's create something like my thread and then I, my thread I. So again, current thread is used for getting the thread of our function. As you can see here, my thread 1000, 999, 998 and so on. So we can change that name if you want to. The main interesting thing is that we can change name, so names are not unique. They're unique by default and it's better for them to be unique, but you can create names which are similar because your threads are not identified by your thread name. They are identified by your ident. So ident of thread, and ident is always identical, so unique. Yeah. Now what we can do with our thread? You can start your thread and let's remove that for I and we will just start one rocket. Okay, now let's have a look at my code. So I have function called start rocket and we have a number and we get the factorial of that number. So we basically multiply that number by every number in its so 1 multiplied by 2 by 3 and so on by very big number until very big number, and then we print factorial of our number. In that case I want my factorial to be first. So first of all we get factorial, then we get hello, or let's not hello but executed. But the main problem with that is, let's start our code, executed, and then we wait until our factorial is so until every calculation is over. And how can we avoid that? First of all, I want our factorial and then executed string to be printed. Okay, I will change that number because it's really big, for example 1000, but that won't change. Okay, now I change that number to be 10,000 and as you can see here, executed and then our big number. But that's the problem. Again, I want to, first of all, I want to print the factorial and then executed code. But if I run executed and then factorial, so we should change the order. How we can do this? So we can wait until our thread is over. Rocket start, so our thread, and then function called join. So join waits until our thread is over. And let's start now. As you can see here, factorial and then executed. Factorial executed. And that goes with everything. So for example, if you want to start 1000 rockets, and what you can do here is, for example, for I in range 100, rocket start, then rocket start, or for example I'll create a set like starters equals set. Why we should create set is because every object in our so every rocket starter is a unique one, and using set is just better in that case. Okay, starters.add rocket starter, and then what I can do here is for thread in starters and thread.join. So what I do here again, I started 100 threads, then I added them to starters set, then I join every thread and then I print executed. Now let's look at the result. So everything is getting printed. 100 threads, I think that's very big number. So let's, for example, 10 threads. Yeah, as you can see here, 10 threads are over and then executed. So basically, join waits until your thread is over, and that's it. Then what you can do here is provide, first of all, arguments. The arguments are just normal arguments, and you can provide queued arguments. So if you don't know what are args and quarks are, I will create a video for you. And the main problem with args and quarks, which I was facing, when you provide just one argument, so for example, rocket, just rocket, and we'll print that rocket. What will happen if I will just give, like, for example, rocket 10? What will happen? First of all, as you can see, my thread initializer is in yellow now. And what is the problem? Let's start our client now. Start rocket argument after multiplying must be start rocket argument after star must be an iterable, not integer. What is the problem? Well, arguments parameter in our thread waits until any iterable, but we give only number, and what Python does is removes that parentheses because they are useless. How can we avoid that? We can just simply put a comma after our 10, and now 10 executed. Everything works fine. So again, when you provide arguments, and if you have only one argument, you should put a comma here to create a tuple. If you just if you just put a number without comma, your Python will remove parentheses because they are redundant, so they're useless. But when we put comma, everything works fine again. The next function I want to introduce is alive for I in range 1000, for example. Let's sleep for 1 second, and then let's print. When we start our function, I sleep for 10 seconds and then I print finished. And what if I want to print something while my thread is alive? So for example, while start rocket dot, and we have a function called is, not start rocket, sorry, but rocket starter, our thread is alive, or we have is alive like that. It's an old one, but you can use it. However, nowadays everybody uses is alive like that, but there is no differences, I think, only code beauty. So now what I want to do is print alive, and let's run our code. So alive, 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 it will be printed for 10 seconds, but when our thread is over, let's wait. So alive, as you can see here, it prints alive, but then our thread here prints finished, and then we print executed because our thread is over.